Hello, hello, and welcome everyone. It's Wednesday, 2 o'clock in the beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. Here I am, the Onealien, aka John O'Neill. Wanted to kick off the first show, the very first The Onealien Show, by welcoming you, my listeners and my viewers. I am honored and privileged to be here and share some of the things that I have in store for you. This is it. This is the first in of many. So just wanted to say thank you for joining me. And we're just going to dive right in. The first show today was really going to be the one and only shows where I focus on myself. I want to give you a little background of who I am and how I got here, an incredible journey. And so we're going to highlight a few things on that. We're going to highlight a few things in my life that I have found both professionally and personally to help me maintain the outcomes that I'm looking for in life. So welcome once again. We're here. This is going to be a weekly show. I'm here with you weekly. I'll have guests coming in, like I said, people here that will, people that are going to come on that will help you become, hopefully, a better person if that's what you're looking to do. Everyone who knows me knows that my heart is for helping people. And so everything that I do from all of my businesses to all of my personal relationships and interaction to my teaching, my leadership, my executive leadership classes, mentorship, everything that I do, it comes from a heart of helping other people become the best that they could be. And quite honestly, it's reciprocated. It's a two-way street. I want to help you and please, I need some help as well, right? So, the Onealien Show, here we are. Want to just give you a couple things. First of all, it's been an incredible journey. In 2020, I came with a thought, and it was a time when I was launching a lot of my businesses, and I really hadn't developed an identity for myself, even though I was in my 40s. You know, like a lot of men and people, you know, we sometimes have different identities. We may be struggling with low self-esteem or whatever it was. But in 2020, after finally launching a vision that I had, a vision that I had for 5 to 10 years before that, a vision that I had written on whiteboards all around town in front of people with money, in front of people with skills, and in front of all types of people, and it just was never coming to fruition. It was never happening. It was never materializing. I wasn't able to manifest this vision and this goal and this dream that I had. And so 2020 was what I call the awakening. And for me, I labeled the year of 2020 the awakening of the lion in me. And you have a lion in you as well. 2020 for me was the awakening of the lion within myself. And so the Onealien was born. And I went through a process internally, and that process came out externally, and it ended up materializing. A lot of the things that I had in my vision and had, you know, hopes and dreams for started to materialize. And it really wasn't anything external. It wasn't anything external. In 2020, it was all an internal transformation for me personally. So the 2020 was a year the lion in me woke up. Okay, the awakening of the lion. And each and every one of you has a lion. So hopefully maybe while we're doing some shows and while I have some good guests coming in and while we're talking about different material, those of you who possibly could have a sleeping lion within you, maybe it'll come out here interacting in the Onealien Show. So what happened after that? 2020, we launched some things, launched some businesses, had some things going on, had a divorce. So there was some personal turmoil going on as I went through my second divorce. We'll talk about that later. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. But 2021 rolled around and I said, okay, the lion's awake. What do we do now? What does John O'Neill do now? And that was the year that was given to me to let your lion loose. And so in 2021, professionally, in all of my businesses, all of my interactions, in 2021, I said, let's go. Let your lion loose. And so all the things, all the skills and abilities that I had within me that I consider to be part of the lion in me, right? I just let it loose. I just let it go. I just stopped the inhibition. I stopped any momentum stoppers that were in my way, disbelief, doubt, those types of things that stop you in your momentum on a daily basis. I let it go, and I let my lion loose. I just let him loose. The lion in me, I let go of the reins. Okay, so 2021 was a phenomenal year. It was such a great year in growth, personal growth, professional growth. It was awesome as the lion was let loose, and I just went after the things that I wanted, wrote it down, and went after it. Went after it with the courage of a lion, with the fearlessness of a lion. And 2021 certainly was an awesome year. So continuing on my journey in my introduction today, 2022 came, and guess what? Sometimes when you get those things and you start getting that momentum and the things start building up in your life and things are going well for you in life, sometimes opposition will come at you. And it's not anybody having anything personally against you. It's just the ebb and flow of life, right? So in 2022, things started coming to test me, to make sure that I really was the lion that I was saying that I was. In 2022, it was labeled the year of the lion's roar. And that is when the opposition might come at you. It's when people who start new businesses fall into that rut. It's when some of the things that you have going, some of the dreams may come into, may have hiccups, or you may hit some potholes in your life. But guess what? That's when you got to call on that lion to roar, because everybody knows when a lion roars, all the creatures listen. All the creatures recognize. And so I had to roar at some hyenas that were nipping at my heels. I had to roar at some birds that were swooping down and trying to get at my food. I had to roar at anything that came in my way because I had a vision, and the Onealien doesn't quit. All right? Is everybody following me? Hopefully you are. We're just leading up. Today's the introduction, the first show, and I'm having a blast so far. 2023, we're just starting on it. So if I've already awakened and I've already let them loose, and I've already had the opposition come at me and I roared at it and let the opposition know who I was, okay? 2023, guess what? This year, I'm so excited to launch this new show. I'm so excited to have some other business adventures. I'm so excited to reach back, and there's some friends that I'm going to bring in. There's some friends that I'm going to bring in and meet to you, people who have crossed my path in this entire journey. I want them to come and share the things that they shared with me because it helped me, and I want to help you. So 2023 is simply the year of the lion's love, because this is a year of love. This is a year that I give back. This is the year that I care about the people who helped me get here. This is the year that I bring them in and let them share their stories. This is the year that I reach out to you and I ask for you to help share some of your stories. This is the year that I reach out and just share love in all the forms. Maybe it might be radio shows or words of affirmation like today. It might be financially, whatever. It might be my time, whatever it is. 2023 is the year of the lion's love. So I'm super excited for it. Is everybody following me? 20, awakening. 21, we let them loose. 22, we let them roar. And 23, we're going to let them love, okay? Because lions, the great thing, when you look up at the characteristics of a lion, it's not all ravenous, right? There are times when you must be, but there are also times lions are known for their kindness, right? Lions are known for their kindness. And so this is the year of the lion's love. So how does all that transcend into John Oneal, your host, on a weekly basis, Wednesdays, on the Onealien show? What does that lend to? John Oneal, the real deal Oneal, a tag that I've gotten when I was smaller, and a tag that actually my son now, who's also named John Oneal, also has, real deal Oneal. He is what? I am the what? I am the why, and I am the who of my world, of my galaxy, and of my planetary, my energy, my frequency, right? And you are the source of your energy, and the source of your frequency, and the source of your why, and the source of your who, right? For me, I know that I am. I know that I bring a live and uncut version of my life and the things that I want to talk about. I know that I'm upfront. I know that I come as I am. I came to the show. I don't have 8 outfits. I'm not changing everywhere. I'm just me. I got to come to you genuinely as I am. And the same way I'm out there is the same way I'm coming in here and spending some time with you. I am who I am, and I'm genuine. I'm charismatic. I'm heartfelt. It comes from my heart, right? Know that anything that comes out of my mouth, know that anything that I'm presented to you, whether it be from guests or just content and material that I do on this show, just know it comes from my heart. That's where everything, for me, that's my source of everything that I do. So the journey that we all experience, all of us have our own journey. One of the things that I realize is that each of us have our own individual journey, right? And each of us intertwine our journeys through not through accident, right? And so my journey through all the ups and downs in life, I have the same ups and downs that you do. I have the same ups and downs that anybody before me had. We all live on this wonderful planet called Earth until we are able to get off, which is coming close, but not yet. I've had a couple marriages fail, 2 of them. Oh my gosh, what kind of guy is that, right? Is it me? Is it all me? Look at accountability. It don't matter. I'm never looking for blame or fault. That's one thing about me. I'm gonna talk about it in a minute. But in 2 marriages that were failed, it was times when I could have laid down and crawled underneath something. But you know what? That was just a point of my journey. Okay, and the individuals that came into my life at that time, they served a purpose. And quite honestly, I have good relationships with everybody in my life. But hey, ups and downs. We may be talking about marriage. We may be talking about men, husbands, fathers. We may be talking about how we, obviously I'm not going to talk about the wives or the women because I'm not, right? But I may have someone come in that could give us that perspective because there's a lot of things that happen in life. There's ups and downs when you are dealing with another human being, right? And when you have those relationships. So we may deal with that. Another thing in my journey, I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but it's self-esteem. I may not. Sometimes people say that I don't look like it, but you know what? Just like any other person, there's inner turmoil a lot of times in my in times in my life, right? And self-esteem was one of them. Self-esteem was one of them. And sometimes for me personally, I would overcome self-esteem with with thinking that I had to always be that ferocious lion. Right? I had to overcome some of my shortcomings by being extra loud and extra boisterous and extra, and so we're going to talk about self-esteem sometimes. We're going to talk about real life. Everything that I talk about, I'm going to talk about me first. Everything that I talk about, I will probably have a story to go along with it. Some way, some shape, some form where I was helped in those times. Low self-esteem. I remember really early on in my professional career when I worked for a corporate office of a home builder, and when I would come into the boardroom and all the VPs, all the executives, everybody, I'm just a coordinator, right? I'm the lowest person on the totem pole, whatever it was, but all of them would be in the conference room, and I would come in and I was that guy. I was that walk into the doorway and crack a joke so everybody looks at you guy. I was that guy that want to go in and get all the attention on me and get everything going, right? I was that guy. And one time, the VP, my manager, supervisor, whatever, my boss, right? He pulled me aside in one of our personal sessions and he told me something I'll never forget. He said, John, I want to tell you something. You don't need to do anything. He said, you have it. You can walk in a room and draw the attention without having to do anything. Basically, he was recognizing some personal things in me that I haven't even recognized, that I hadn't even really grasped, that I didn't really understand. And so what I was doing with my lost identity and low self-esteem is I was trying to overcompensate for that. So you saw me coming in and again, just being that draw attention to me right away type of guy. That was a symptom to something deeper, right? Another thing in my journey that I have recognized and identified is there was a long period of time where I became a people pleaser. Okay. I was putting myself aside, which certainly is a great characteristic and is a great trait, but we cannot be people pleasers at the detriment of ourselves. And I found that I was overcompensating again in another area, right? And so I was trying to I was trying to appease everybody around me. I was trying to be a people pleaser. And a lot of times when your skills and ability lands you in leadership positions, but you haven't really grasped what leadership is, being a people pleaser and running around and trying to appease everyone, it's exhausting. It was exhausting for me, right? And it wasn't fulfilling for me. It wasn't just that. It just wasn't fulfilling, right? So I struggled many years in my journey being a people pleaser. And until I recognized my own value, we're gonna get into that later. Until I identified a certain thing, my own identity, right? That really plagued me for quite some time. In my journey, I'm very genuine, right? I've learned to love myself. How did I learn to love myself? Well, the first thing I had to do was forgive myself for a lot of things. When I'm talking about 2 failed marriages, well, that's talking about breaking up families. And I have children. So and I'm a man, right? And I take pride in being successful in whatever I do. Success is a key word that we'll talk about later, right? It's individual. But for me, in what I felt was successful, I had a hard time. And so sometimes when you're struggling with that low self-esteem, or when you're struggling with your identity, or and things during your journey just aren't going quite how you like it or how you want, then you get the enemy coming in, because your brain, your mind starts. And you know what? I got to make a correction. It's not even really sometimes the enemy coming. It's nobody else but myself. It's nobody else but my own ego, right? And so sometimes that guilt comes in. Oh my gosh, I let another woman down, and my son was X age, and I know it's affecting him, and I could tell it affected him because, he just had different struggles after that happened. So even though, we're all still communicating, and we're all still loving, and we all spend time together sometimes, but I can't, as a man and a father, who prides himself on protection and providing, right? I failed. There's areas that I failed there. And so I had a battle with myself. I had a battle with my own voices that brought guilt and shame on me as a grown man, right? Shame, guilt, those types of things, right? Being offended, right? All those types of tools that will demean you. The types of tools that get in your mind and they end up affecting your perspective. They end up affecting the way that you're thinking about things. They end up changing the way you approach every circumstance and situation in life, because you approach it already with the preconception of guilt, shame, and I'm lesser than, and I can't do it, or all those struggles that you have as human beings. Does that make sense? So all these things were going on during my journey, right? Failed businesses. Oh my goodness. I had businesses that failed. I had a radio show here before that didn't work out, right? All types of things that I tried. And one of the reasons we're going to talk in a minute why me personally and my character and my personality was always trying things, right? But that's part of my journey. That's part of my struggles, my ups and downs in life. So on this show, the Onealien Show, we're going to talk about journeys. We're going to talk about real life examples in my journey, real life examples in your journey. The other phase that I spoke about a minute ago, and that was at one point, right around 2019, 2020, was what I call the awakening. The awakening. And we'll talk about some of you who can relate to me as far as you had a conscious awakening at some point in your life. You had a point where, enough was enough. You had a point where, you just had to scream out and say, forget it. You had a point where you said, what they're saying is not true. What's most important is what I'm saying. Understand? And so there was an awakening where I was no longer dependent on external validation. Because a lot of us, whether it be someone we care about that's close to us, whether it be friends, whether it be family, most of the time it's the people that are closest to us that have some type of opinion on us, right? And there was a time when during my awakening where I no longer depended on. They can certainly give me their opinions, please. You know what I'm saying? When this first show's over, I'm going to get the opinion of everyone that's in the studio watching, right? Because their opinion is valuable. However, what I will tell you is that none of their opinions do I depend on for validation. Because regardless of anyone's opinion, John O'Neill's sitting right here, and we're on the Onealien Show. Feel me? So what are we talking about? External validation, right? There's a time when I said, I'm no longer dependent upon that. I don't need for you to approve or disapprove of what I have going on. Does that make sense? And there's a time when I recognize my worth, right? Each and every one of you, as well as myself, we're all valuable to us, to our purpose, right? We're all valuable to our purpose. So there's a time during my awakening when I finally recognized my own worth. I said to myself, I had a conversation with myself. I do that frequently. And I said, you are so awesome. I said, you are so valuable. You are so worthy. You are so worth it. And it doesn't matter what your circumstances are. It doesn't matter what they say you are. The bottom line is facts are facts. Okay. And each and every one of us are made uniquely and individually, and we're awesome in our own way. And so during my awakening, I finally recognized, into my 40s, finally recognized my worth. I recognized that one of my gifts was I'm a free thinker, right? I'm a free thinker. You can't put me in a box because I don't fit in a box. You can't put me in any type of category because I don't fit in that category. I embraced my free thinking. Okay. And it was liberating. It was freeing when I just said, you know what? I got a brain, I got a mind, and my mind contemplates and thinks. I'm a thinker. I'm a knowledge hawk. Talk about that in a minute. And I desire to become better and better and better each and every day. It's funny because you want to talk about the awakening. A lot of times I just have a funny thing that I do just for myself. And when I meet someone for the first time in a day, not for the first time ever, but when I first meet them, on any given day, I extend my hand and say, hey, how you doing? I'm John O'Neill. And they look at me, like it's a big joke. And it's kind of, we both kind of laugh because of course they've already known me. Why are you introducing yourself to me? And I tell them, you know why? Because I'm new every single day. The John O'Neill that you knew yesterday no longer exists. The John O'Neill today that's here now is who I'm introducing you to. Why? Because continuous improvement is important to me, right? Living my best life, being my best person, always trying to become better is important to me. So the other thing that I did during my awakening is I focused on my vision. I just focused on the vision. I had a vision, right? I'm a visionary. We're going to talk about that later. But as a visionary, you see things and you try to get to those things and you try to line things up and you try to, navigate life in order to have the outcome of the vision that you've seen, right? And so I started just focusing on my vision. I didn't focus on anybody else. There was a time when I was a consultant for about 5 or 8 years. And when I was a consultant, I was helping everyone else build businesses. I probably have assisted, maybe 20 or 30 people. I've lost count in getting into business, right? And during that time, during my awakening, I said, why am I helping everyone else get into business? And I'm still over here struggling. Right? I still had my struggles as a consultant only. You're always reinventing yourself. You're always looking for the next client. You're always doing these things. You're always scrambling is what you're doing. And so I approached myself and said, man, you're helping all these other people get into business. You're lifting up their life, which is a phenomenal thing and which you can continue to keep doing. But you have forsaken your own vision by building everyone else's. So there's a time when I had to say, you know what? Wait a minute. John O'Neill matters too. John O'Neill is valuable too. So I embraced my own abilities. I embraced my own skill set. I embraced what I did very well. There are things that I know that I do very, very well. And there's things that I know that I don't do well. And so during my awakening, during that phase of my journey, I embraced what I did well. I recognized and valued what I did well. And then even more important for me is I recognized that I needed help. Oh my goodness, I needed help, right? How many of my businesses failed because I had enough ability to get it up, but I didn't have enough ability to sustain it, right? How many things in your life do you have the knowledge and the skill to get to it, but you don't have the knowledge and skill to complete it or to last through it? And so one of the things that I realized is, John, man, you need help. You need help. You need help in this life. You need help in the things that you do. I need help as a man personally. I need help as a man professionally. I needed help, right? And so I stumbled across a very unique, and I say unique tongue-in-cheek because those who are successful probably already know it, but I didn't know it at the time. And so what I did is I surrounded myself with people that were smarter than me. No longer did I need to be the big bad anything. No longer did I need to be the top dog in the front. I didn't need to be any of those things. The realization that I came to is I enjoyed my vision coming to pass the most because that was part of my purpose. And in order for that vision to come to pass, it was important for me to sit at a table with people who were smarter than me and be comfortable. That means I had to be secure in myself. That means I had to know my identity. That means I had to know my worth and my value. That means I had to rest in those things. Why? Because in every room that I go into now, I want what I call Avengers. Okay, in my entire professional team, I hire Avengers. I hire people who are smarter than me in whatever area that they're going to uphold. I don't need to be the smartest person. If you come to my place of business now, when I introduce myself as the janitor. And it doesn't matter what my position is, right? Why? Because whatever you need, I've got someone here to help you. And it doesn't have to be me. I get no fulfillment out of it being me. What I get fulfillment out of is seeing people around me using their skills and abilities and helping them come up to their highest potential. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna take a quick drink right here. This is my first time. I don't know how to do this, but my mouth is dry. All right, there we go. Surrounded myself with people that were smarter than me, right? And when that happened, it was amazing because my business is elevated, my personal life started to radiate and started to shine, and people were behind me, and I was and I realized that everything that I wanted to do, I needed to have help doing. And I needed to have people who were smarter than me, more of an expert in certain areas, right? I could hold myself down. I could hold what I know how to do down, right? But I can't do everything. And some of us have a little bit of skill enough to do multiple things that we think we could do it. But I can't. I could build a website, but my website is not as good as the person who's building my website now. I could do any. I could do a podcast. I had a little horribly sounding podcast. You guys know that I put some of it out every once in a while, but that wasn't me seeking help. So when I wanted to do a podcast this time, I said, guess what? And I even told the owner of the outfit that I'm dealing with now. I don't know if I can say it all. Oh, great. I even told Dave Pratt, my man Dave. Shout out to Dave and Starwide Studios, Worldwide Studios, and everybody here, right? I needed help. And I told Dave this time, I said, you know what, Dave? I was in such a different place when I first started doing my little radio show. Number one, it was hip hop music. And, I had some friends who came in, kind of like new friends. They weren't even really old time friends. And we just came in and laughed, and we did some drinking and cussing. And we just did this non-purpose driven. Okay, and I'm not saying it wasn't a great experience. Everything in your life, you've got to chalk up as being a great experience, right? As a matter of fact, maybe the purpose of that little show was for me to get to this show. Maybe when that show failed and I was like, oh crap, maybe we're not doing the radio no more. Maybe that was just time for me to go back and incubate and get myself together and get my awakening going and let my lion loose and let the lion roar, because in 2023, I'm going to be here with Robin with the headphones, and we're going to knock it out of the park on the Onealien show. Feel me? So I had to have everybody from my clinical director in the field that I work in, to class, to technology. I surrounded myself with all types of people who cared about the vision, right? And who cared about me, and who cared about their own performance, really, right? And so all of that awakening allowed me to find new love. And so that's why this year is the year of the Lion's Love. Is everybody with me here on the Onealien show? So the third one that I want to talk about is, once I was awoken, you will find that your life starts what I call ascending, elevating. things just started going, leveling up. Okay, leveling up. And it wasn't anything that I was doing. And when I say level up, I don't mean looking down on another level. What I just mean is my own personal elevation, my own personal escalation, my own personal ascension. And in that ascension, I developed some things that helped me remain there, okay? And some things that we're gonna share and talk about here on the Onealien Show. One of them is positive vibes only. I looked at different areas in my life and said that this is not making me feel good. Let's make it plain. This isn't bringing something to my life. This is adding to the stress, or this is a dark cloud, or whatever it is. And I said, guess what? Positive vibes only. Whether it be people, relationships, in the store, whatever I'm doing. I got to learn how to not pound on that table. You guys hear that? Whatever I'm doing, positive vibes only. I made a commitment. Guard my energy. I've only got so much energy in the day. You've only got so much energy in the day. And if you're allowing things in your life that aren't uplifting it, what they're doing is they're holding it down. What they're doing is they're pulling you back. What they're doing is sapping you of your energy. And for me, I made a conscious decision, positive vibes only, and I'm about to guard my energy. I guard it well. If I'm in a conversation that's going sideways, I'm stopping the conversation. Why? One thing, I'm gonna throw it in right here, even though it's not what I was gonna say right here, but as you know, I'm quick-witted on top of my head. One thing that I stopped doing is arguing. I don't argue with people anymore. I don't argue with anybody. I try not to anyways, right? Not kids, not my kids, not adults, not the lady in the store, not the car, nobody. Because if I start to argue, it's gonna sap me of my energy. And I made a decision to guard my energy. So I came to a realization in an argument. Why do people argue? If I tell you something through this camera and you say something back to me, are we in an argument? No, we're not. We're just simply on two opposing sides. And so I realized, guess what, John? Oh my gosh, I'm a complete slow, whatever it is, because every argument I've ever had was 100% in my control. I could control every argument that I've ever had. And so I said, guess what? Positive vibes only. I'm guarding my energy. You're not getting my energy unless I give it to you, and I'm not arguing with you any longer. If I say something and you disagree, or you want to go a different route, or you think it's something else, okay, that's what you'll hear me say. I say it in text. People say something else, they'll get a response. Okay, ... That's all everybody who texts with me knows. ... Okay. Why? Because I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just not going to expend my energy. I need it. I need it for my purpose. I need it for where I'm going. I need it for the people around me who are waiting for my help. Does that make sense? So guard your energy. The other thing that I learned in my ascension, in my elevation, is to know my frequency. See, all of us, I believe, operate on a certain frequency. And that's why some people, you don't really vibe with them, or some people, you just don't really click with them, or some people, and it's okay. It's not that they're a bad person or a good person. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is just the wavelength, the frequency that I operate on. Some people find me too abrasive. Okay, well, we're on different frequencies, ma'am or sir, right? We're just on different frequencies. I bring you no ill will, but this is how I communicate. This is how I operate, right? And I'm very secure, and I'm okay with it. And it's okay if you're not, right? Why? Because I'm certainly not going to argue. I'm about to go positive vibe only. I'm about to guard my energy, and I'm about to recognize that we just operate on different frequencies, which is okay. I recognize where my frequency is. I operate at a high frequency, right? I look, when I pull out of my driveway in the morning, I look at the mountains and the sky, the cascades behind it, and the light. That's the frequency I operate on. I assume the best. I can't get a hold of myself. Frequency is what I realized. Then I realized that I had to know what makes me happy. And there's some things that you want to, that hopefully the Onealien Show can help you identify that makes you happy, because I was very intentional with finding out what made me happy. And I sat down and I made a list. And I made a list of things that makes me happy. right? And then I went back to the list, and you know what? And I edited it, the list, right? And then I put it down. I went and then I came back, and pretty soon I had a list. I said, you know what? This for me specifically, this is solid, right? And in my list, there's some things that are non-negotiable. Like there's some things that I really, you know what I mean? I really just don't even want to be around. Like if non-negotiable, right? And there's some things on my list that, maybe be negotiable, right? And I knew the things that make me happy. And this happy list that I made, I could use it if I'm going into a new relationship, right? Because I know exactly where I'm at. Let's see where you're at. If we don't match up, then let's not waste each other's time. Because I'm sure you're an awesome individual, but we just may not be awesome together, right? And so I made a list, and I knew what made me happy. I know today exactly what makes me happy. Does that make sense? And that allowed me to start to cultivate relationships with a positive attitude, with an uplifting spirit, and in a happy way, right? In a happy way. And so, like I said, once I landed there, once I seen it, once I wrote the plan out, once I committed to guarding my energy, and once I committed to my positive vibes, I knew who I was. I loved who I was. And I decided there will be no compromise, right? I'm not in my 20s no more. I don't need to compromise. I don't need to do anything, okay? I'm riding this last part out, okay? I'll be 52 this year, and it feels great. And it's wonderful. And those of you that ain't in your 50s and they made it out to be something, they lied. Because I love my 50s. Oh, my goodness. I can do almost anything. I can go anywhere and do anything. 50s are fantastic. But anyways, I digress. The Onealien Show, that's what we're talking about. That's who I am. I wanted to spend time to talk about who I felt like I was. I wanted to spend time to let everyone know when you turn into the Onealien Show from here on out that you know. Because, remember, typically the shows aren't about me. Today is just about me. The focus is on me. I'm taking a little bit of time when we start in order for you to really get a good idea of who your host is. So the other thing before the show that I did was I wanted to get some idea of what the people close to me would how they would describe me, because how they would describe me is how I will hope to come across to you. And I hope that you can see some things that people see in me, in yourself, and that will allow us to connect, right? Connection is important. So hopefully we're getting some type of connection as I'm speaking already. So what do they say about me? I asked them, just a few people, 5, 10 people. Actually, I think I asked about 10 people. Everybody knows the laws of life. When you ask 10, you get feedback from maybe 4, right? And so I got the feedback from some of the people, some words. One of the words that they described me as, and I mentioned it before, but a visionary, right? So I have glimpses all the time of what can be. And even professionally, like I said, what I have built now, what currently exists in my professional life, the businesses that I built from the ground up, and that are God forbid, are running so well, and I'm so fortunate for them to be, right? But that vision was years ago. Like I said, there are people who drew diagrams, wrote the whole vision out on a whiteboard, hoping that they would catch it and hoping that they would support it and get into it with me. And I got a ton of no's, all the no's. I got all no's until I didn't, right? All no's until you don't get a no, okay? But I knew that I was a visionary. And one thing that I learned is that typically you need at least a triangle, right? You need a triangle. Okay, you need a triangle. You have 3 people. One person is the visionary. One person knows or sees the plan. One person sees what's down the road. They know what's coming up. Okay, and that's your visionary. In every group, every successful family, organization, I believe that at least one person is the visionary, right? And then you have a person who is what I call the engineer. Okay, so the engineer grabs the vision. They see it. They understand it, and the engineer has a crazy ability, right? I had some really good business friends that are engineers, right? And they just know how to, they use the term Hey John, let's reverse engineer it, right? They reverse engineer. Okay, so that's what an engineer does. Okay, they figure out what nuts and bolts and in the geometry and the math, in the material. That's what they figure out. What do we need to have the vision come to fruition, right? And then you have the third person, people, group, team, whatever. But you have the implementers. Okay, you have implementers. So you have a visionary who sees the vision. You have an engineer who creates the vision, and you have implementers who make it go. Does that make sense? And the word that everybody just used to describe me, one of the words is I'm a visionary, and I agree with that 100%. I have visions. I have things to do. I lead a purpose-driven life, and there are things and places that I need to go and do because I see it already. It's part of the vision. Okay. Now some people have a little bit of multiple. So you may see yourself in the visionary. I see myself in the engineer. I know how to sit down and get and write things out. I do know how to, but that's not my wheelhouse. That's not where I love to be in. That's not where I'm most comfortable. And then you have implementers. Okay, I know how to implement too. I could certainly take something and get it rolling and get it and get it launched. Right, we call it launched. Get it out. Implement whatever it is. I know how to do that. But again, that doesn't fulfill me. That's not my purpose, okay? So you may see yourself in the visionary. You may see yourself in the engineer, in the implementation team, the implementer, okay? Along with those, let me add something to that. Along with that, you have also, what I compare that to is you have momentum starters or sparkers. You have process people, and then you have what I call the ending or the outcome, right? So some people are motivated by starting something. They're motivated by the momentum that is created by the idea and the friction and the synergy, and bam, that was a beautiful idea. And they're really fulfilled by momentum, starting something. Then there's other people who are, and this may be you, but who love to get down into the process, and they love to, get everything hooked up, or if it's sewing, they just love, getting that. My mama does quilting, right? She's gonna love that I said that. My mom does quilting, so she'll quilt something, and she loves just sitting there quilt. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the crap, all that hook, lantern, whatever it is, but she loves getting in there and doing that stuff. Okay, process people. And then you have outcome people. Like, they will not be fulfilled unless they see the ending, unless they see the studio lit up. They don't know what it is. They didn't care about coming in here and plugging a bunch of crap in. They didn't care about none of that. They only cared about because they're outcome people when it lit up and it was ready, right? You have sparkers, you have process people, and you have outcome, the ending people. And everybody is fulfilled, I believe, with different parts of that, right? But I found myself. Anybody guess? Could anybody guess? John Oneal, the Onealien Show, is here to spark you. We're here to give you momentum. Does that make sense? I learned that was, I'm getting used to lights. Everybody, this is my first show. You got to bear with me. That was what I found in myself. I'm a sparker. Okay, I'm a momentum starter. I love to come in to a team, get everybody hyped up, get everybody motivated. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it? Let's get out there. Let's go. Yeah. And then I'm good, right? Then I'm hyped up. I'm fulfilled, and I love going, right? I'm not the process guy. I have hired process people around me. Why? Because I could have a staff meeting and lay out 3 different visions and plans or whatever, and get everybody hyped up and make sure they have the tools, right? If you're going to give somebody momentum, you got to give them the tools too. You can't just leave them high and dry, right? And so give them the tools, and if we have this and do that, and let's have 2 people go work. Everybody got it? All right, team break, and they roll out, right? And then I could say their name right now, but then I've got a couple people. They just, man, that's when they get activated. Oh, now that they got the vision, and now that they're happy, and now they get in there, right? They get in there and start writing. Okay, we're gonna do a spreadsheet, and it's gonna do this, and then we'll send emails to everybody, right? They love that process stuff. And then some people want to make sure that all the work that was done from the idea to the process, that it works. Okay, is everybody following me? So that's a little bit of what they said, the visionary. So I know I was long-winded on just visionary, but that's what they said. They said I'm a visionary, and I believe it and I understand it. So we're going to talk about what we are a little bit on the show. Another word that they gave me was that I was skilled, right? And I will agree with that as well, right? I have a certain set of skills as you do as well. We all do. We all have a certain set of unique skills. I have a certain set of skills. Okay, for me specifically, I have 0 formal education, 0 college degrees, 0 anything. Okay, I'm an old school, hustler, not like illegal. Calm down, but I just whatever I put my hand to, I hustle. Right, I'm a hustler. That's what I do. And so I took it from street life to personal business life, whatever. But I'm on the grind. I get it done. I have skills, natural ability skills, not formal education. I respect you. Go to college, get your degrees, hang it on a wall, and we know the rest of the story. But for me, my skills have brought me. I'm a knowledge hawk. It don't matter if I don't know about it. I want to learn about it. I'm comfortable in sitting in different situations that I may not be the expert in, but I'm gonna learn from everybody around. I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna soak it up real quick. I'm a knowledge hawk. It doesn't take too much. It doesn't take me too long to get it. Like people will keep going and do this. No. That's part of my skill set. If you tell me something one time, as long as it makes logical sense to me, then I got it. You never have to tell me again. Right? That's my skill set. I have gifts and abilities, right? I rarely make the same mistake twice. I have OCD tendencies. I put everything in my house exactly where, keys in the same place, right? Like on my phone, like if something, like I'll be lost. I don't even know how to get to the car because somebody moved my keys from here over to here, right? So I'm a proofreader. Like things pop out of the page. I was talking to somebody today because I was reading their page, right? And there was just a T missing in the middle of an entire paragraph. I don't know why, but that just popped right in my head. It's like looking at the Matrix. Sometimes I call it the Matrix. Things. My eyes and my head, my brain just sees certain things. So I have a certain skill set. Part of that skill set is I'm a critical thinker. That's what they told me. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a problem solver. Okay, and there's a couple principles that I live by that kind of go in that. Number one is I've learned. This is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I've learned. Seek first to understand. I'm an advocate of it. It's on the wall in my conference room in my office, right? Seek first to understand. My whole team knows that. Everybody knows that. Seek first to understand, okay? Because if you don't, then you're going to miss something. Why? Because everything that we see, every circumstance, every situation, we approach it with our own goggles, with our own perspective, right? And if we don't put ourselves aside and seek first to understand, then we run the risk of missing something. Got it? Okay, problem solver, critical thinker, solution-oriented, please, right? I'm not saying this to you guys because you're just listeners, but my team knows, people in my world know, right? Don't come to me complaining about nothing, right? Don't even come to me with a long story. Don't come to me with excuses. Don't come to me with the unusual circumstances. All of those things. Why? Because we all live here. We all know that. We know what happens. I know there's traffic. I know when it rains, nobody could drive. I know that we get flat. I know all those things, right? Come to me with the solution. I'm very solution oriented. Cut to the root. Get to the end. Feel me? Why? Because I'm not the process guy. Get to the end. Okay? Solution oriented. I want to hear the solution. I believe in my critical thinking and my problem solving that we can always do it better. Even if it's working well, there still could possibly be a better way. Let's bookmark where we're at. Let's try this thing. Oh, that didn't work. Go back to where we're at. Let's try that thing. Right? Continuous improvement. I'm a big advocate of continuous improvement. Me first, every day. One of the things they said is I'm benevolent, right? I'm very humble. I'm humble. I understand my humble beginnings. Growing up here in Arizona, in South Phoenix, those of us who have been here for a long time know that South Phoenix had certain mantra back in the day. and it's different from today. But growing up, I have very humble beginnings, right? In a lot of my classes that I teach and a lot of the trainings that I do, in like I told you, I use my own stories. I talk about humble beginnings. When I was little, we had the big giant block of government cheese. Anybody have government cheese when they were little? That's what we had to use. This big government cheese that didn't slice right, didn't melt right, didn't do nothing right, but look orange, right? And then when I was little, we had what we had for our cereal. We had powdered milk, right? Anybody have powdered milk when they were little? It's always water, basically, because the powder just sinks down to the bottom of the cereal, and so you're trying to stir up the powder to make it look white like milk. It's just horrible. So those were humble beginnings, right? Never forget my humble beginnings. That allows me to remain benevolent. That allows me to give instead of receiving, right? Because I've already been there. I want to give. I want to give as much as I can. Do you follow me? So a couple more words. I'm not quite sure. I'm looking at my team and seeing how we're doing on time. I don't know if when that hits 3, I don't know if we're done or. Okay, so I'm gonna go through a few more, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up because apparently I'm long-winded and I got to pay for a longer show. So I'm purpose-driven, right? I'm purpose-driven. John O'Neill on the Onealien show is a leader. I go me first. We'll talk at other shows on what leadership means to me. I'll give you a hint. It means servanthood. So you got to serve, right? I'm humorous, fairly quick-witted, bringing the smiles. I love to see other people smile. I'm positive, always assume the best, right? When I approach situations, I'm always going to assume the best. I just find that works for me. You may assume the worst, or you may assume how they hurt you last, or whatever assumptions that you want to embrace, do you. But me, I always try to assume the best, right? They said another word, I'm motivated. That, as you could probably tell, yes, I approach every day with one attitude, and that's win the day. Win the day. I don't need to win tomorrow or the next. I just need to win today, right? Another thing they said, I'm caring and empathetic. Sure, maybe. We'll talk about that another time. Tenacious, I never give up. True. Creative, mind's always going. Absolutely. Thoughtful, yes. These are all the things that make up John O'Neill of the Onealien show. We want to always assume the best. We want to always seek first to understand. We want to always start with ourselves. We want to always understand what servanthood is and serving the people around you. We want to always put things in the proper boxes, urgent and important, or urgent and not important, so forth and so on. This was an introduction. I took up a lot of time. I'm running out of time. So I'm going to just say to everybody, thank you so much for tuning in here to the Onealien show on the Star Worldwide Networks. Okay, I want to be here every week. So I care about you. I love you. I've got some things to correct you and correct myself while we're doing it. So there's going to be some times when we have great guests. There's going to be some times when we have guests you want to turn off, but I'm going to ask you to keep them on. All right? No matter what, the Onealien show, John O'Neill is here for you. Here we go. See you next time. I'm out.